Duckworth and Louisville City FC finally back to winning ways and finally back to the comfortable confines of Slugger Field here in beautiful Louisville, Kentucky, as the boys in purple welcome Stephen Glass and Atlanta United 2 on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in the Midwest. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro Devin Kerr. Pre-game presented to you, as always, by Four Roses Bourbon. And Devin, when you take a look at the Eastern Conference standings at the moment, Louisville City FC still within a playoff spot despite their recent inconsistent ways. 7th place, 33 points, an opportunity to gain some ground after some results over the weekend went their way. Meanwhile, Atlanta United 2, while they have been poor, still in the conversation.
Mathematically not eliminated, but for Stephen Glass's boys, if they want a chance, they got to turn it up right now. There's not a lot of games left on the schedule, and they have the capability. They've shown in the past what they've been able to do. We'll dive further into that later. For Lou City, Nashville draws on the weekend, Battery draw, an opportunity to jump up the rankings, but more importantly, that top 4 spot still within reach.
And you mentioned how Atlanta United 2 need to turn it on. Bienveni Kana Kamana. You talk about turning it on, he turned it all the way up. He was sensational in their 4-2 win over Loudoun United and has been terrific in the last 3 games.
Been amazing. I mean, that's all you have to do is look at the graphics. 6 goals last 3 games, that's great. He's got 10 appearances overall, but this is a guy who took about 2 months to get into camp. He came on loan from Czech squad, MFK Viskov, and they just said the acclimatization into the overall environment took a little bit of time. You have to understand that when you bring an international in, and they are going to have some serious work to do. Tall mountain, to say the least. Look at this team's resume. Lou City coming down the stretch. Back-to-back reigning champions. We know that. Of course, the Eastern Conference loss in the championship game to New York Red Bull, 2 eventual champions. 24-4-12. A team that's averaging right around 30 points down the stretch. And oh, by the way, only 4 losses in the past 3 years.
This is a group of veterans on Louisville City FC who just know how to get it done and know how to turn it on when the season is at its most crucial juncture. Louisville City looking to make it 2 in a row. Atlanta United 2 have always given the boys in purple a run for their money. Should be a great one from Slugger Field when we come back.
It's a simple truth. There is no better place than where you are right now. Celebrate the moment. Feed the wolf.
Toyota's national clearance event is on. It's time to save on the last of the 2019s. Congratulations. Congrats.
Now get $1,250 finance cash on an adventurous new 2019 RAV4 or a low-mileage lease for $199 a month with Toyota Care 2-year no-cost maintenance plan standard.
How long should we do this?
Well, the event doesn't end until September 3rd.
Toyota, let's go places.
We are those searching the unlimited, the unrestrained. Those that understand that life is a pursuit. Feed the wolf.
It's the Honda Summer Spectacular event, which means more of this. The kind of elation you can only experience after getting a great deal on a Honda Civic or Civic hatchback. Or an Accord. All come standard with the Honda Sensing suite of safety and driver-assistive features. And as you can see, all will provide you with plenty of joy. Come be a part of it today.
Get a great deal on the Honda Civic and find your happy place at the Honda Summer Spectacular event.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Oh. Oh God.
Oh no.
For all your car's Big O no's, there's always a Big O yes. Save $100 on sets of 4 Big O brand tires, plus get $50 by mail-in rebate with the Big O credit card. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith is off. He's in the lead. He's heading to Fine Wines, and oh, an outstanding choice there. Mike's gonna go wide, but he's heading into Bourbon Turn, and it's Justified, gaining ground to Craft Beers, but wait, he's stopping for a taste at the line. It's Mike Smith for the win.
Hello, Chad.
Good to see you again, Mr. Smith.
Liquor Barn, where Kentuckians go to celebrate life.
Almost ready for kickoff here in Slugger Field. And tonight's broadcast presented by GE Appliances. Louisville City and Atlanta United 2 to duke it out for 3 points. Devin Kerr, let's take a look at the starting lineups, which are presented by UPSjobs.com. What are we looking at for Louisville City? We're without the services of Paco Craig after he got sent off against Charlotte.
If you didn't join us last week, John Hackworth made multiple changes to the tune of 6 in his starting 11, said that it needed to be better in performance going forward. That's exactly what he got. They're still looking for that overall package. Lexi Suahi comes into the back line next to Sean Tosh. Niall McCabe will play in an inverted 3 in the middle. Louisville City going to a 4-3-3, not sitting too deep to try and get this offense be a bit more potent.
And tonight's player with the most potential is Sean Tosh. He and Louisville City are looking for him in tonight's game against Atlanta United 2 to be that lockup at the back defender. Our player with the most potential is sponsored by Corsair Charities, showing children their potential instead of their obstacles since 1923.
This was the guy who, in front of Chris Hubbard, they had both back-to-back amazing performances, one after another. Great clearances off the line in that 1-0 win over Charlotte Independence, and it's going to have to be something special once again. This is an Atlanta United 2 team who does not have a boatload of points underneath their belt, but they have a massive amount of talent, especially on the U side. Keep an eye on left back George Bellows, still making his way back from injury. He's an Atlanta United player. Organization telling us that they're trying to nurture him back to full game fitness. Do not be surprised if he goes the full 90. Of course, Kevin Barajas in the 10, Jackson Conway up top. This team can really explode going forward. However, the repetition on a regular basis just has not been there for Stephen Glass's boys.
Matthew Thompson gets us underway from Slugger Field in Louisville, Kentucky. It's Lou City and Atlanta United 2 to duke it out for 3 points over the course of 90 minutes. Again, Tyler Tarrenton sitting 3.5 centimeters to my right is none other than the ex-German pro, Devin Kerr. Thank you so much for joining us. Louisville City in their classic purples, Atlanta United 2 in their all-white kits. Tonight's first half is brought to you by El Napao Mexican Cuisine. To be sure to visit any of the 27 Louisville area locations. La Fiesta starts here, proud partner of Louisville City FC. Atlanta United 2 trying to play out of some pressure. It comes off the backside of Abdou Jam. And while we have a moment, tonight's keys to the game are powered by Kentucky Lottery, who reminds you that lottery proceeds fund college scholarships and grant programs, including every dollar of the popular Keys Scholarship Program. Mr. Devin Kerr, what on earth are we looking at?
If Atlanta United's going to have success, they have to go fast in transition. Lou City likes to push numbers up high, especially in the outside back position, so the quick counter will suit well for them. Lou City, Three's Company, that's referencing the midfield 3. Primarily, they've been playing with the 2 holding midfielders. This time they invert them. Rasmussen, Niall McCabe, and Speedy will sit a bit deep. Those 3 have to stay on the same page. And I said the front 3 fireworks. They got to find a way to get this offense clicking. They have not been that spectacular, creating a lot of chances, but just haven't been able to finish things out. Good thing they finally got on the board last week against Charlotte Independence, but they had 2 games back-to-back being shut out. The likes of Loudoun United and Bethlehem Steel got to find a way to put more goals in the back of the net.
Antoine Opano tracking back to try to win the ball for Lou City. And we go all the way back along the Atlanta United 2 defense and back to Dylan Castanera, who's in between the sticks for Atlanta United 2. He's gotten the majority of the appearances in goal for Stephen Glass this season. And this portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Chris Hubbard calling everyone off, and mentioned before that Ben Loon's still nursing an injury. He's on loan from FC Cincinnati. And they've been working with the physios from Cincinnati to get him back to full match fitness from a goalkeeper's perspective. FC Cincinnati actually taking the first matchup of Hellas Real in MLS League play over the Columbus Crew by a score of 2-1, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Devin Kerr.
Past my bedtime.
8:30 these days, huh?
You and I were actually on a game, so didn't have the opportunity to see the rest of that. We did watch the unbeaten streak of Minnesota United come to an end. Atlanta United will have a nice game this weekend, but more importantly, can Stephen Glass's boys find a way to go after the back-to-back champions? He said that they don't have a lot of points under their belt, but they have shown in past performances that they can go toe-to-toe with the best of them. Take a look back against the 2-1 victory earlier on this season, April 13th. They took down North Carolina FC. Also a draw against Charleston Battery, May 25th. And then about a month and a half ago, I was actually quite impressed with them on the road at Indy. They ran that team into the ground. It was a wide open affair, and were it not for an 84th minute winner by Indy 11. They would have escaped with at least a point. Unfortunately, they came out on the short end of the stick, gone down 1-0. As we mentioned, just able to stay within reach of some of the better squads in the USL Championship.
Oscar Jimenez on the first corner of the afternoon. They'll go short. Rasmussen will go back for Jimenez. Trying to deliver, but closed down extremely quickly, and it'll stay with Lou City, the home side. Louisville coming off of that 1-0 win against the Charlotte Independents. Very physical and bizarre game as Rasmussen's finding his way here. Seems that was Antoine Opano. Saved off the line, still available for Louisville City. Challenge in the area, no call given by Matthew Thompson. And Niall McCabe will recycle for the home side. Jimenez. Speedy Williams threading the needle. Good chance here for Louisville. Slid across. And a touch at the last moment from Atlanta United too. Dylan Castanera loves the defensive effort. He has not made to make a save yet, but Louisville City pounding on the door in the opening 5 minutes.
3 opportunities in consecutive minutes where the second touch needs to be a lot quicker. Ball gets played back across, and on this pass, they have an opportunity. Play it first time, it doesn't happen. You see Opano on the backside, just allowing the ball to come back in front of him. If he puts it in immediately, he's got Spencer on the initial run. He's got a trailing run at the top of the 18. Abdujam on the back post as well. Brian Ownby in there. Interesting shape for Lou City so far. You see the bald head's throwing me off a little bit. My apologies there. Brian Ownby just shifting into the middle. Abdujam rotating over to the side a little bit. Looks like he's going to continue to occupy that space, and they're going to go after the speed of Brian Ownby up top. John Hackworth telling us in the past couple weeks that feels like they're within striking distance. Would be more concerned if they weren't creating. That hasn't been the case. When you take a look at the overall efficiency for Lou City, conversion rate is heavily lacking for a team that really is looking to get something going in the final third.
Comes out wide for Metcalf. Delivery across the box is a teasing one, and a good defensive play from Pat McMahon. Falls for Sean Tosh, looking for an outlet. Difficult ball to handle for Oscar Jimenez. He almost gives it away. Abdujam checking all the way back. Brian Ownby sent into the channel the other way, but it just skirts out of play. And following a report on weather, conditions in Louisville are perfect for this afternoon's match. 90 degrees, maybe a little bit on the hot side, especially on an August 11th, with board-certified allergists serving 16 offices throughout Louisville Metro and Southern Indiana. Relief is always nearby at Family Allergy and Asthma, the official weather sponsor of Louisville City. Visit FamilyAllergy.com. Devin, you and I were talking about before we came on air and how the clean sheet against the Charlotte Independents for Louisville is the first one that they've recorded in league play since May 18th. That's scintillating. And no, it's not an oxymoron. Scintillating 0-0 draw against St. Louis FC, which you still to believe is probably one of the best games in the league thus far. As Atlanta United 2 racing to try to keep it in play, but Jackson Conway to no avail.
Having that conversation with John Hackworth, he shares the same sentiments that the level was extremely high for Lou City as well as St. Louis FC. Anthony Pulis and co came to town, and just an awesome display between the two squads, going back and forth. Not a lot of times you sit in the USL Championship, see a 0-0 draw, and really excited about the footballing display that's put on in front of you. Only 5 shutouts this year against Lou City. It's a team that has been able to consistently score, though, you know, recently just struggled a little bit. And take a look at the Loudoun game where they lose 3-0. The Bethlehem 1-0 loss. St. Louis, you mentioned. 5 times sounds like a lot, but when you trek back to previous years where that doesn't seem to be a regular occurrence, a bit of frustration starts to creep in, though culture is what this community preaches on a regular basis. And just seems like if they continue to follow this line, they'll have success. That's at least how it's gone for them in the past. Maybe some of those issues a bit more fluent this year compared to some of the previous years, especially in the championship winning seasons.
Well, expectations are always just sky high for this Louisville side, and that's what happens when you win back-to-back championships. Is Matthew Thompson just, I think Atlanta United too, that they need to move it back a bit further, as Dylan Castanera having a bit of a footwear malfunction. Always difficult for the keeper when the shoelace comes untied, because you can't exactly get the old loop, swoop, and pull down with goalkeeper gloves on. I'm sure you've helped a keeper or two in your past.
I have. I felt it to be quite lazy on their part, to be honest. But to be fair, when you mess around, and I go play indoor with my friends when I was younger, and I played goalkeeper, I look and I go, address the Royal Highness's shoe. I'm more of a bunny ears type of guy, but whatever floats your boat.
Free kick coming up for Lou City. Niall McCabe will stand on top of it. And Niall was absent for their 1-0 win against the Charlotte Independents. And we'll have a little treat for you at halftime, and a deeper look as to why he missed the game against Charlotte. Don't worry, all good things. Here is McCabe. Oh, that's a teasing ball in. Here comes Castanera off his line. A massive collision involving 3 different players. It'll fall for Abdou-Jam at the top of the area. His shot is blocked. Circling back around is Rasmussen. Lays it off. Atlanta United 2 standing strong along the back line. And Lawrence White trying to find a bit of breathing room, but Louisville City not allowing ATL UTD 2 to play out of pressure. Finally, Will Vint comes away with it. Pushed along the line. Kamana. Good ball across, but nobody home, as the initial run is being made by Jackson Conway. No delayed run at the back post, and Louisville City will regain possession.
Here's the quick transitional play we talked about, where Atlanta United 2 have to get the ball in front of them and run at this back line. Lou City very disciplined, but their line is so very high on the offensive side of things. Good movement by Kamana. Jackson Conway has to be a second or third trailing runner in here for them to have success.
Sean Toast just launches it the other way, hoping Omi might be able to get to it. Very much Route 1, and there to seal off Route 1 is Dylan Castanera. 24-year-old from Landing, New Jersey, in his first season with ATL UTD 2. He's actually a 4th-round pick by FC Dallas in the MLS Super Draft.
Part of the learning curve for George Campbell there. Understand the idea to try and play out of the back, but when you're pinned so deep and the angles just aren't right, sometimes it's better just knock it, hit the reset button.
Comes into Conway. That's beautiful hold-up play. And here comes Atlanta United 2. Bello sends it across and handled relatively easily by Chris Hubbard. The pace to this game in the opening dozen minutes or so. Jimenez. It's a bounce from Rasmussen. Speedy Williams stumbles a little bit trying to find Niall McCabe, who's making a vertical run. Seconds will fall for Atlanta United 2. Jose Hernandez forced to go negative. Challenge from behind by Brian Obi. That's a dangerous one at that. Matthew Thompson is going to have to address it. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not it'll be a booking. And cards will stay in pockets for the moment. Devin, you and I particularly have seen a lot of red cards as of late. Louisville's seen them this season. Atlanta United 2, no stranger.
Vegas.
Is that just a shout that you want to go to Vegas, or are you also talking about Eric Winaldo's boys?
We've gotten this out of the way that I'm not allowed in that city. No. However, I was referencing Eric Winaldo's squad. Disciplinary issues seem to continue to plague that team going forward. It has shown its ability to get some things done recently. I like their draw on the road against Sacramento Republic. Not many teams going to Papa Murphy's Park come out with a point.
Swahi getting tangled up with Conway, and Swahi gets called for the foul. No protest though, and he just jogs back to his position. Jack Metcalf, 27-year-old from Liverpool. Will Vint. Ball clipped in behind. Difficult to get to. And a goal kick coming for Chris Hubbard. Devin, you and I have talked about it a number of times. We've discussed it with John Hackworth, the head coach of Louisville City, but there always seems to be that juncture in the season that character is tested, quality is tested, resiliency is tested. And Louisville have had those moments, 2017, 2018, and now most certainly in 2019. As this one over the top for Abdou-Jean, here's Brian Obi! And the diving header finds the back of the net. The ball rarely touched the floor on that sequence. Brian Obi makes sure it ripples the back of the net. And the back-to-back champions back to winning ways. Lead Atlanta United 2 here in the opening 16 minutes. Louisville City 1, the visitors 0.
Important to get a fresh start here and immediately get on the youngsters from Atlanta United 2. Really well done by Lou City to push everything all the way to the backside. We talked about transition for Atlanta United, but how about this long ball played all the way back across and unselfish by Abdou-Jean. Really well done to recognize that he's going to trust Brian Obi, and then the trailing run by Opano on the backside. Great ball knocked back across. Brian Obi just running through. Hard to believe that that is his first goal of the season. And for all you Lou City fans, get excited. This team is 7-1-1 when scoring first. John Hackworth preaches getting out in front and staying out in front. The record shows it.
And that goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. This portion of tonight's broadcast brought to you by Republic Bank as Louisville City take a 1-0 lead. And if you think back to 2018, Devin, it was the same sort of story where Brian Obi, again, due to injuries and just not really finding the back of the net, didn't score his first goal until the last third of the season as well. Now McCabe trying to let the ball do the work. Gets a shot from behind from Will Vint. Comes Abdou-Jean again. Keeps it in play. High foot there, and it is going to be called.
And quite interesting when you sit down with John Hackworth and talking about their inability to put the ball in the back of the net, not only on a consistent basis, but early and often. That is the first time in the last 9 games that they have scored a first half goal. So that gives you an idea of always playing from behind up until what they dealt with last week when they were able to get out in front against Charlotte Independence. They had a pretty poor little streak of conceding first, and the only time that they were able to come back and get a win was that July 6th game against Nashville SC. Of course, there's the draw on the road against Ottawa Fury, and those are good wins and draws, especially the Ottawa Fury one when you're on the road. But when you have a team of such high pedigree and expectations, you talked about earlier, the culture that's been built here in Louisville, you cannot fall behind on such a regular basis and expect to climb the same mountain over and over and over again and get positive results out of it.
But it's interesting that with a win against Nashville, a 2-1 win, an emotional win against a quality side, that's when that stretch happened where they weren't able to find a win, and it just seemed like the world was falling apart for the back-to-back champions as Jack Metcalf knocks one in, and the header just snapped over the bar, and Atlanta United 2 trying to respond after the opening goal from Brian Ownby.
It's a loose goal kick. Smash it.
7 games in a row they conceded first. They've seemed to rectify those issues. This is the big man of Jack Metcalf on the right side. Universal soldier that seems to play every position outside of goalkeeper. Fortunately enough for Atlanta United 2, they're quite deep in that area. Just keep an eye on the shape right now. The way things are panning out for the visiting squad. Started off in a 4-back. The way that they have everything, though, they can rotate a couple players in and out. They get a little dangerous from the goalkeeping position. You can move Lawrence Wyke over to the right-hand side and push him up into the midfield if you want. George Bello can make the same argument. So even though, as we're talking right now, and they're sitting 4, George Bello is actually taking a lot of chances on the left-hand side. So Dacos, George Campbell, and Lawrence Wyke are quite often finding themselves where they are sitting 3 and they're overloading the center of the midfield, trying to find a way to get movement into Kevin Barajas. Credit to Lou City. They haven't really allowed the center of the park to be able to be dissected just yet, so a lot moving to the outside wings, but they're having some success in it.
Oscar Jimenez gets taken down, and a free kick coming up despite the pleas from Stephen Glass and the Atlanta United 2 technical staff. Free kick will be taken right in front of them. 20 minutes gone here at Slugger Field. Back-to-back champions get the opening goal from Brian Ownby. His first of the season on August 11th. McCabe. Oh, it's another great ball in. It skirts all the way through, and Castanera makes a comfortable save in the end. Abdou Sham has a hand of help up. And the referee's going to stop play, and immediately Abdou Sham was calling. And he's grabbing onto that right shoulder. And it's the same one that he's had issues with. We're going to try to stray away from speculation, but it's always a concern when a player grabs onto something that they've had a persistent problem with. But Abdou Sham, it looks like, is going to try to shake it off, at least for the time being.
John Hackworth's going to stand on the sideline and just feel like he's in Groundhog Day if this turns out to be another injury for him. Castanera doing a good job, just maintaining composure. A lot of traffic in the box there as this ball came up off the turf.
Good header from Sean Tosh. Antoine Openo keeping it in play, but just for a moment. If you had to give a grade for Abdou Sham, sort of as Luke Spencer's backup, if you will?
C. Good speed, good vision. Semi-decent in the air so far. Again, for him, it's confidence. John Hackworth giving opportunities to whoever's willing to step up. Unfortunately, nobody has, and felt like a couple games ago when Lou got the start again, he said, look, when you get 6-7 really good looks at goal and you can't finish things out, I got to put you on the bench. And that makes perfect sense. That's kind of been how his season has gone. That's why you've got an out-and-out number 9 who, number 1, has rotated over to the left-hand side. Number 2, only 2 goals in 14 appearances so far.
Here is Sham. Jimenez slides it along for Speedy Williams, who picks his head up. Stephen Glass trying to direct traffic in the Atlanta United 2 technical area. Sham now draws some attention. McCabe at the edge of the area. He goes for the curler, and Castanera had to get down. Did he get a touch to it? The answer is yes, and a corner kick coming up for Louisville City.
It's a Louisville City corner kick.
Always one of the difficult ones for a goalkeeper. Now McCabe doesn't have a massive amount of pace behind him, but watch the ball. When he opens up his hips here, he comes back across it, and it's going to dip right in front of Castanera. Really hard for the goalkeeper to judge. Does well to even get a touch on it, to be honest. And after that goal, a bit more pressure starting to be applied. You can feel Castanera having to step up more often than Stephen Glass would like.
Jimenez with the left peg. Headers won initially by Suahi, but into the hands of Castanera. There's been a couple of awkward deflections throughout this game so far. just sort of like a magnet. The ball has been attracted to Castaneda's gloves. He's been very fortunate.
He was someone who I had the opportunity to see firsthand last year playing for Columbia. And his coach, Kevin Anderson, said coming in, he was highly scouted by multiple MLS teams. Obviously, Atlanta United went after him and ended up with the 2 team. But a guy who, when you just stood next to him, you listen to him talk, the confidence behind him, not cocky, able to lead his squad in a positive direction on a regular basis, recovered from a lot of kind of unnecessary situations, but always put his team in the right place. And more importantly, when he took his gloves off, you kind of just looked at him and went, wow, his mitts are massive. He's not massive in terms of stature. He stands around 6'2", 6'3". That's not big. And you know, you and I stand next, I'm 6'5", so when I'm usually looking down on people, so I'm above him on eye level, and I'm going, okay, you know, what does this kid have? I was watching him through training, pretty decent during training, took his gloves off, and I was like, I get it. I'm gonna go sit down now. It's kind of one of the same things with great quarterbacks, just really, really big hands. And a lot of times, this ball gets whipped across. You'll see him go one-handed on a lot of things. Truly impressive.
Atlanta United 2 with a bit of sustained pressure. Speedy Williams, the Jamaican, just skirts around Jackson Conway, and now Louisville off and running. Ball threaded through for Brian Obi. 1v1 here with Campbell. Brian Obi goes for goal. Not a bad effort. Working on a very good defender in Campbell. And perhaps Brian Obi is going to start to find some late season form.
It's a good idea. This is what we talked about for Brian Obi up top, trying to stretch that back line. Problem is he has to play catch up with it a little bit, maybe driven a bit harder or take a better angle. Really well done by George Campbell to drift back across. Put a little bit of a body on him. You kind of talked about it earlier. He's another one of those guys that there's just so much talent on the offensive side for this squad. Niall McCabe had a strike from distance. There's the trade with Lucky M. Kasana going to the Rowdies. Antoine Obino comes over. Brian Ownby in there, Abdou Jam. And the big question mark is if they can get all these guys on the same page going forward and really maximize their talents, they're not going to have an issue. That's been the problem over the past few games, is they can't even get one of them. Felt like they got a bit of relief out of Luke Spencer last match. How important was it that was that type of guy to step up for your squad? So many amazing goals over the years.
That question of if has been asked over the past 2 years now. If they can put it together under new head coach John Hackworth in the middle of the season after the triumvirate was able to get them through around a difficult point in the season, including an Open Cup run that came to a screeching halt after they ran into the Chicago Fire. If these new pieces are going to be able to fit in, they always seem to answer the question, yes.
Can you do it without Cameron Lancaster in the final? I mean, so many. It is a testament to what they've built out here. Atlanta United 2, obviously the foundation for them, much younger, trying to nurture this talent in a different manner than John Hackworth is, though Stephen Glass more than capable of doing so. Guy who was in charge of their academy for quite some time. Carolina Rapids, time with the Shamrock Rovers across seas. That guy who actually had some repetitions for the Scotsmen's national team at the senior level. Lawrence White just going to ground. Part of that back line we talked about that's rotating left to right quite often right now. Their captain, Jack Metcalf. He's a Scouse at heart. That's going to leave a mark.
Fair play to Matt Thompson, who has kept the cards in the pocket. However, I have a feeling if Abdou Jam is to get caught in another challenge similar to that one, he will most certainly go into the book. And the assist on the Brian Obi goal, the Dakar Senegal native, 27 years of age, Yukon product. See some scores from around the weekend in the top right corner. New York Red Bulls 2 dispatching Hartford Athletic. Really tough break for Jimmy Nielsen's boys as they were up 1-0 and looked to be in full control of that game. Alex Davey gets sent off with a red card, then New York Red Bulls 2 never looked back. Probably the most shocking result of the weekend. Birmingham Legion go to Al Lang and get a result. 3 points to be specific.
They're human. The Rowdies are fallible.
Here's Oscar Jimenez. Did well to get out of trouble. Rasmussen, oh, that's really well done. Sensed the pressure and played the other way. Now McCabe. Here's Openo. Circles back around. Now McCabe finding Speedy Williams. Avoids the first challenge, avoids the second. Obi lets it run through. Secondary run, it falls for Openo in the penalty area. Turns. Again, reverses field. Now McCabe trying to go back for Openo. Actually was looking for Brian Obi, who was making sort of an underlapping run. Speedy Williams in for Rasmussen. Jimenez. Jam checking to the ball. Obi back for Jam. Great little back heel. Fending off Campbell. And goes back for Pat McMahon. He lofts one in, but way too much on that. And Brian Obi unable to get there as he runs out of real estate.
Fans do not exchange temperatures. The referee has called.
And we are going to have a hydration break with temperatures hovering around 90 degrees on a hot and muggy Sunday afternoon in August here in Louisville, Kentucky. 1-0 is the score here at Slugger. Brian Obi with the lone goal in this affair. Coming off an Abdou Sham header, a very direct goal coming from Lou City. As Santos just picking out Abdou Sham, did extremely well. Puts it into a dangerous area, unable to beat Castanero, who could do nothing about it.
A lot of times when you get into a situation as a striker where you don't necessarily have a lot of confidence because the ball has not been finding the back of the net, you become selfish and you try and overextend yourself. That wasn't the case here from Abdou Sham. It's all about this ball. Look at the distribution. Shando stepping up, long ball into the back post. He just wants someone to go make a play on it. Abdou Sham puts it right back across the mixer. Brian Obi laying and waiting, puts his boys out in front.
While we have a moment, Devin, thoughts on the first half hour or so?
You can see from Lou City still struggling when they do push over half a little bit to break things down on this young but talented ATL UTD2 squad. The decision making is just kind of second guessing themselves, to be honest, where it's taking that second touch. Doesn't have to be a back heel. Sometimes the simplistic way is the easiest way to go, and they're making it harder on themselves. There is a shift coming along the back line for Stephen Glass's squad and the visitors, where they started with 4. George Bello has definitely moved into the midfield and even higher at times to try and create a front 3 alongside Jackson Conway and Kanakamana. Jack Metcalf seems to be tailoring the expectation on the right side. So what you're seeing is when they rotate, they're actually not rotating back into a 4 with George Bello on the left. De Casa is moving all the way to the left-hand side with Metcalf coming into the right back position. Their goal is to try and overload the middle and play off the 2 boys up top so they can get runs down into the channel, a la George Bello and Kanakamana. The problem is the line so high that outlet pass, when it's coming, they just don't have that focal point player who's able to hold play up. Good challenges coming from the likes of Santos and Pat McMahon, who we have not addressed, by the way. Only a second start of the season. A guy who did really well last week against the Charlotte Independents. Asking John Hackworth about it, he said, look, Pat was great start to finish, especially considering he hasn't played a full 90 all season long.
And John Hackworth was very interesting chatting with him a couple of days ago, because he said that Paco getting sent off was probably the catalyst for the rest of the game. I mean, they got a little bit of help. Alex Martinez talks himself into not 1 but 2 yellow cards for strictly dissent in a matter of about 3 or 4 seconds. You have to wonder what he said. I'm sure it's not obviously airable what he said, but at the same time, it was a big response for Louisville, because they realized in that moment that they could be again on the wrong side of another scoreline, down a man on the road against a good Charlotte Independence team that has been putting together some results since back under the tutelage of Mike Jeffries. And again, it's like what we talked about, these moments of adversity that they've had to battle through, that you could look back on as a turning point in the season. You look back to 2018 under John Hackworth, and it was that 2-2 draw on the road against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds when they were up 2-0. They gave up 2 very late goals to Bob Lilly's side. And that was a moment John Hackworth told us that was a changing point in the season, where he ripped into them after the game saying it's not good enough. This is a moment that we have to take and put a positive spin on it. And then after that, it was, again, another one of those incredible runs in the last third of the season where they just string together a crazy amount of results.
One more follow-up there. Think of a guy like Pat McMahon as well. He's one who, at the end of the 2017 title-winning season, James O'Connor was talking to him on a plane the next day to go recruit this guy from FC Cincinnati. For the way that 2018 played out, and then now to basically being a reserve player, to come in and put in that kind of performance, astounding.
Good defensive play from Pat McMahon. He gets fouled from behind. And the Louisville City faithful certainly appreciate the defensive effort from the aforementioned former FC Cincinnati man. And this portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Sullivan University. Louisville City FC, if the season ended today, would be a part of the first play-in round in the history of the USL Championship postseason. They would take on the Birmingham Legion. Speedy Williams, a touch along for Niall McCabe. He pushes it through for Brian Obi. More space to play with. Sends it into the area looking for Abdou Jam, but he was just about a half step off. And that one skirts out of play. Again, very quick going on the counter is Lou City. And Brian Obi's right in the thick of it again. Now 10 minutes remaining until halftime, plus a little bit of stoppage time for the hydration break. John Hackworth still barking in the ear of the fourth official. Always a game within the game, particularly for the coach in the technical area. Pat McMahon stumbles a little bit trying to send it the other way, but again, it's Brian Obi using his pace. United have been pushing their lineup further and further, and Louisville City, as they so often do and why they're back-to-back champs, do a great job of adjusting in-game and figuring out a way to break down the opposition. Little how do you do from Sean Tosh, no call for Matt Thompson. Speedy Williams finding out Duchamp. Oscar Jimenez making an overlapping run. Numbers arriving for Louisville City. Jimenez peels it back. Abdou Jam now. Edge of the area, Rasmussen a bit nonchalant. McMahon. McCabe now. Takes the first delivery. Some oohs and ahs from the crowd. Openo tries to deliver, but tight quarters. And it falls for Barajas. He's unable to pick out Jackson Conway. And Devin, to your point, the lack of hold-up play seems to be a perpetual problem for Stephen Glass.
In this movement into the three-back system, they're just trying to replicate what goes on for Atlanta United. You and I all too accustomed with these two teams, what they're trying to do. Obviously, Frank de Boer's squad has had their ups and downs, most recently going back into a three-back system. But what it looks like going forward is the issue for this organization. You have Joseph Martinez up top. You can play the one focal point. That's what they're trying to get out of Jackson Conway.
Oh, it's a howler from Campbell. Here's Jam, and Campbell, atoning for his sins, somehow arrived from the background into the foreground, gets a touch as Jam was ready to pull the trigger. And a corner kick coming up for Louisville City. That easily could have been 2-0.
The other number 14, Abdujam, just becomes the talking point. Poor giveaway right at the top of the 18. I said earlier, sometimes you cannot try and play out of the back like this. When you're getting pressed in this fashion, it's a quick little long ball up over the backside and then reset your numbers. That's not the case here. Terrible turnover. Atlanta United lucky to escape. And then it goes back to the 2 squad where when you're trying to replicate what goes on, that long ball played up top, you gotta find a way to find the feet of Jackson Conway or play it in to Kana Kamana. As they hold it up, you're basically looking for 2-3 seconds of hold up play, get runs into George Bello, Kevin Barajas to play off, and even one of the midfielders in the likes of Will Vint or Jose Hernandez to step up and hold position. You gotta try and basically box your way out of this where Louisville just keeps just keeps jabbing and jabbing and jabbing, and they're working their way up the field. That's how they get their goal and continuing this sustained pressure. At some point in time, Stephen Glass has to find a way to get somebody up top to move out of their comfort zone because there's too many opportunities for them to play out. They're just not executing.
We'll have halftime to be able to discuss that, but obviously trying to limit the damage or perhaps grab an equalizer. Now McCabe finding Rasmussen. Out wide for Abdujam. First time delivery, lofted towards the back post. Opino lets it bounce a Rose cycle for Louisville City. Next up with Bello. And a foul called against the youngster.
Jack Metcalf really struggling on the right side with the speed of Abdujam. Stephen Glass had his left hand out, telling him exactly where this ball was going to be played the entire time. No reason whatsoever Lou City should have continued possession on the left side, yet alone get a ball back across the middle.
Oscar Jimenez, low delivery. Swahi gets a touch, and Pat McMahon gets a second touch, and it's his second goal for Louisville City FC.
Sustained pressure, always going to be an issue for ATL UTD2. A little redirect, Speedy Williams on the near post run. Doesn't get a touch on it, doesn't matter, because the trailing run on the left foot of Pat McMahon enables them to redirect this across his body. So difficult to do. And we said this was the guy James O'Connor, prior to his departure, went out and got at the end of the 2017 season. He has put in countless amount of shifts for Lou City. Only the 5th time this year that he has put on the jersey. Back-to-back starts. And in his 23rd appearance overall for this club, he finally finds the back of the net for the first time.
And that goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. So on August 11th, both Brian Omi and Pat McMahon scored their first goals of the season and give Louisville City FC at the very least a 2-0 cushion heading into halftime. All sorts of problems to figure out for Atlanta United too, that even despite getting a win in their most recent affair against Loudoun United, have been susceptible to getting up multiple goals. And it goes all the way back to that 8-1 drubbing against New York Red Bulls too. Since then, they have just been leaking goals left and right. Conceded 2 against Loudoun, 4 against North Carolina FC, 2 against Charlotte, 4 against Birmingham, and 8 against New York Red Bulls 2. Brian Omi gets on the better side of George Campbell. McCabe finding Rasmussen, overlapping run coming from Jimenez. Rasmussen going for goal, and Castanera making a good save, parries it out wide. Openo finding Obi, he sends it across, and an important touch along the back line from Decas. And a corner kick coming up for Louisville. They are relentless at the moment.
Here's a Louis City corner kick presented by Corner Ball and Chris Ross.
Jimenez goes short. Rasmussen changing the angle just a little bit. Back for Jimenez. Onside. Ball lofted in, looking for Tosh. First touch gotten to. It looked like George Campbell. McCabe chops it back for Jam. Working on Metcalf. Jam on his left foot, sends it across. And again, Campbell sticks a foot out.
You gotta be smart if you're Atlanta United too. You have space, take it. About 15 yards from the white jerseys to Niall McCabe. And instead, you try and switch it all the way back across the pitch. Some serious talking points at halftime for the visiting squad. We talked about their talent level and how can they continue to nurture it throughout this organization. Right now, it just comes down to decision making. They're not doing themselves any favors whatsoever. Obviously, Lou City playing quite well, putting the ball on the deck and making the most of their opportunities, but a massive amount of unnecessary turnovers coming out of all the jerseys in white.
The clock has stopped at 45 minutes. Official time has been kept.
3 minutes of stoppage time, which is presented to you by Sullivan University.
3 minutes of Sullivan University stoppage time in the first half. 3 minutes in.
Ball sent along for Openo. He's got space. Brian Obi alone in the box. Here's Obi again, and a terrific save from Castanera, who read it beautifully the entire way and keeps Atlanta United 2 within striking distance. Alexis Suahi, a heavy touch, and a corner kick coming the other way for Atlanta United 2. And before the corner comes in, think you know this Lou City team, fans? Kentucky Lottery is giving you a chance to prove it. Get to that in a moment. Another look at this great chance created by Openo. And denying Brian Obi of his second goal tonight is Dylan Castanera. And to celebrate their 30th anniversary, Kentucky Lottery is asking you to name the 30th goal scorer of the Lou City season. For a chance to win Kentucky Lottery and Lou City prizes, visit loucity.com and enter today. Jack Metcalf. Outswinger. Good ball in. A couple of bodies hit the floor, but it looked like two Atlanta United 2 players got tangled up. Ball stays in play. The assistant referee almost got in the way. Here's Kanakamana. He goes for the near post, but it's on the wrong side of the post. That was probably the best chance of the afternoon so far for Atlanta United 2, and it goes begging.
This kid's red hot coming in. He said, whether the linesman's in the way or not, 6 goals past 3 games, one-on-one. Trying to get cute going to the near post. Don't mind the idea. Utilize the speed to your advantage and go after. This defensive unit said those long balls down into the corners would suit them quite well. And sometimes it is going to be isolated one-on-one situations where you're just going to have to put a little pen to paper and showcase your personal magic.
Metcalf wins the header. Kanakamana, first time effort. Straight into the hands of Chris Hubbard, who's asking everybody to settle down, including himself. Niall McCabe now. Rasmussen making a darting run out of the midfield. Rasmussen all alone for at least a moment. Rasmussen cuts it back on his right. Jimenez. McCabe bounces it back for him. Openo. 2v1 on this near side if they hurry. Now wide for Rasmussen. few moments away until we reach the halftime whistle. Maybe one last chance here for Lou City. Speedy Williams. You can see Louisville very content right now with the scoreline. And that'll force Matthew Thompson to blow his whistle as Louisville City, with a pretty professional performance in the first 45 minutes, lead Atlanta United 2 by a score of 2-0. Brian Omi and Pat McMahon both with their first goals of the season. It's a first in a Louisville City kit for Pat McMahon. Devin Kerr, your thoughts on the first half?
Quite simply, they've taken what their manager wanted them to do and applied it to the field. John Hackworth said, we got to find a way to get out in front and stay out in front. That's exactly what they do. Said first time in 9 games that they've been able to score in the first half. They put 2 in the back of the net against Atlanta United 2. Could have been 3 or 4 if it were not for some better decision making. Stephen Glass's boys got to find a way to get an outlet pass in that focal point up top. Jackson Conway, Kana Kamada, they got to communicate better, get some hold up play, and allow some of this pressure to be relieved so they can get up a higher line.
Well, for the moment, Louisville City FC, the back-to-back champs, well on their way to back-to-back wins. Meanwhile, for the visitors in Atlanta United True, trying to get back into this game. We'll be back in a moment.
Toyota's national clearance event is on. It's time to save on the last of the 2019s. Congratulations. Congrats.
Get the all-new, greater-than-ever Corolla with $1,000 cash back, or a low-mileage lease for just $169 a month with Toyota Care 2-year no-cost maintenance plan standard.
How long should we do this?
Well, the event doesn't end until September 3rd.
Toyota, let's go places.
Complaining about your allergies won't make them go away, but calling Family Allergy and Asthma can. We offer the most effective treatments available to help you find relief. No more symptoms means no more complaining. Family Allergy and Asthma.
Since 1923, COSAIR Charities has shown children their potential instead of their obstacles. So they see the world as a place of possibility, where great things can take flight. When you support COSAIR Charities, you help elevate every aspect of a child's life. Together, our kids, an entire community, can reach new heights. There's so much more to do. Join us by donating today.
Nice weather is not the best fishing conditions. You a lot of times want some wind, you want some cloud cover.
Chad, you've been out on the water since you were a kid. I know there's been a time when a storm came up and got you.
You know, when you work every single day outside and you have conditions that may not be favorable for a camera.
Every single kind of weather element plays a huge factor.
Pressure, wind, temperature, I rely on the weather and I tune in to WDRB.
Black Lightning brought a criminal kingpin to justice last season, but he doesn't get to charge up this fall.
A foreign country with their own superhuman army is coming, so the only thing left to do is prepare for war.
The Markovians have a stockpile of metahumans in pods, the largest on Earth. War is coming, and Freeland is ground zero.
Suit up for an electrifying new season of Black Lightning.
And All-American Mondays this fall on WBKI with CW.
Isn't it time to finally do something about your allergies? Rush allergy shots at Family Allergy and Asthma can begin to work in as little as 1 day, so you can find permanent relief faster than ever. Don't wait to feel better. Family Allergy and Asthma.
Halftime here at Slugger Field, and tonight's halftime report is brought to you by Game On Mouth Guards. And Louisville City FC right now showing a lot of teeth. 2-0 over Atlanta United 2, as goals coming from Brian Omi and Pat McMahon have given them a nice little cushion heading in to the second half. And Devin Kerr, we mentioned earlier how Niall McCabe was out of the lineup against the Charlotte Independents. We asked John Hackworth why was that, and he said all good things. Niall McCabe and his beautiful now wife Ashley got married, and this was something that Niall had talked to John 10 months ago about. It was on a Friday. Most soccer players get married during the offseason. Niall chooses to do it in the middle of the season, and John Hackworth said, go do your thing and get married. Congratulations to Niall and Ashley.
Funny how he led into it. I said, was this a disciplinary decision personally? He goes, personal. You know, John, he's quite coy about it. He goes, but for a good reason. And I was going back and forth with Niall on a conversation. I said, Niall, man, you are so smart. I should have gotten advice from you. He says, why? I said, I got married in December, out of season. I should have come to you first. I could have got an extended vacation mid-season, gotten out of here. Instead, you know, I moved around, but, you know, all the congratulations to he and his beautiful family. An awesome opportunity. And, hey, why not do it mid-season for him? You're still getting paid.
That's what it's all about, isn't it, for Devin Kerr? It's all about the money. 2-0 to Louisville City FC over Atlanta United 2. Let's check out some of the best from the USL Championship.
Fortune can hit from here. Oh!
McCarthy once more.
Blacked it back in, and it's a goal for North Carolina FC.
Big shot, and he scored. And Ben Spees lets one fly and drills it.
Fit in with Bethlehem and really Philadelphia. Prater lofting, header snapped in. New Mexico to run away with it. We have stealing it now.
The ball. Fortune can hit from here. And how about North Carolina FC?
Cooper gets the return ball. Now Chavez to have a goal! What a strike from Ivan Chavez! His fourth of the year and Fresno FC.
Moto clipping it in towards the.
Oh, what a save! Sendejas in a second save!
Santos was in behind. Oh, that's a one.
Great stuff from the USL Championship as well as the final of USL League 2. And congratulations to Flint on their big win. And Louisville City FC on the verge of another big win and trying to get back to consistent winning ways. And we'll take a look at the news and notes from around our wonderful USL Championship. Phoenix Rising FC do it yet again against El Paso Locomotive, who were reduced to 10 men after James Kiffey got sent off for a straight red card, a little chicken wing to the face of Solomon Asante. 13 wins in a row now for Phoenix. Loudoun United, 3-3 draw against the Charlotte Independence. Trivia question, first ever goal at Segra Field.
Charlotte Independence, Valentin Sabella. Nailed it. What do I get?
Nothing.
Awesome.
And El Paso, of course, with a great response in the wake of the tragedy and the shooting at the Walmart about a week ago. And a look at the Commonwealth Credit Union roundup. Loudoun United and Charlotte 3-3, Red Bulls 2, and Hartford Athletic. We already touched upon that. Pittsburgh Riverhounds taking care of business against Swope Park Rangers in the most surprising result of the weekend. Birmingham Legion 1-0 over Tampa Bay Rowdies, and that means New York Red Bulls 2 and Tampa Bay level on games. New York Red Bulls 2 1 point ahead. And here is a look at the live updated table thanks to our outstanding producer, Sharni Yerke, who's running on -3 hours of sleep. Birmingham Legion currently in 10th. Louisville City FC with a win today can't jump any further, but they do inch closer and closer to the likes of the Pittsburgh River Rhinos.
Notice the goal differential, -15.
Not a great look
for Tommy Stone's boys. No, but they're sitting in 10th. I'll tell you what, they are on some kind of run right now. 4 out of the last 5, actually unbeaten in 5 because you got to throw a draw in there. St. Louis FC once again on the outside looking in.
Well, we'll step aside yet again when we come back. Stats and highlights from the first 45 minutes, and we'll have the start of the second 45. Don't move a muscle.
Welcome to Toyota's National Clearance Event.
Been hearing a lot about some great deals.
Yep, with the great deals on the last of the 2019s and low APR financing options, it's a win-win.
What about me?
It's a win-win-win.
What about us?
It's a win, win, win. Everybody wins at the National Clearance Event.
Now get $1,250 total cash back on a rugged new 4Runner. Get $3,000 cash back on a stylish and roomy 2019 Highlander. Or get a great low-mileage lease for $239 a month.
Save on the last of the 2019s. Come in today.
Toyota. Let's go places.
Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith is off. He's in the lead. He's heading to Fine Wines, and oh, an outstanding choice there. Mike's going to go wide, but he's heading into Bourbon Turn, and it's Justified. Gaining ground to Craft Beers, but wait, he's stopping for a taste at the line. It's Mike Smith for the win.
Hello, Chad. Good to see you again, Mr. Smith.
Liquor Barn, where Kentuckians go to celebrate life.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no. For all your car's Big O no's, there's always a Big O yes. Save $100 on sets of 4 Big O brand tires, plus get $50 by mail-in rebate with the Big O credit card. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Gotham City has been facing some rough times without its Caped Crusader.
Crime is running out of control. Someone else needs to step up and save the city.
You're a female Bruce Wayne.
Awesome, hilarious, handsome.
This fall, the CW introduces you to Batwoman.
This new Dark Knight is going to prove that fighting crime is a woman's job.
Look, it's Batman! They think I'm him. I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
Tune in October 6th for the season premiere of Supergirl and the series premiere of Batwoman.
World's Finest Sundays begin at 8 on WBKI, the CW.
Brian Ownby and Pat McMahon with the goals for Louisville City FC, both their first of the season. For Pat McMahon, his first since joining Louisville City FC. Atlanta United 2 with a long list of things that they need to correct after their first half performance, but Stephen Glass certainly a man up to the task, and his boys are going to look to do just that. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. We'll take a look at how the first 45 minutes went down, and Devin, you could just sort of sense in the opening moments that Louisville City were going to get one. However, Atlanta United 2 in the first, you could argue 120 seconds, looked decent.
There were some looks. 12th minute, Atlanta United 2. This was the channel play we talked about and said that, look, if they could find a way in their transitional moments, which were going to be few and far between this entire match, to exploit them, they could have success. Those long balls down into the corner, that's what you were looking for. This is the Louisville goal, though, and it's all about the ball from Shantosh coming out of the back. I'm really impressed by Abdujam to put this back across the middle, but his vision to understand that not only can this thing be played all the way back across to allow him to have a strike, but then the fact that there's going to be trailing runners on the backside when he knocks it back into the middle. Beautifully executed by the boys in purple jerseys. ATL UTD2 would counterpunch a little bit here. Jack Metcalf, there it is once again, dissecting the back line, quick balls down into the channels, and whip back across. Could they find a way to get things going in transition? No, they wouldn't. Some terrible mistakes playing out of the back. This one gets them really in trouble. Twice we saw this out of George Campbell. He got really lucky, to be honest. He able to recover himself, get a tackle on Abdujam, push it to the side, and then the second goal for Lou City. Really well executed. This is a team that prides itself on their set-piece execution. Great ball to the top of the six. Not the best of flick-ons by C.D. Williams, but they'll take anything that they can get. Pat McMahon puts it in the back of the net for his first goal in a Lou City uniform.
And then the hits would keep on coming for Louisville City FC. Knocking on the door yet again. Space being found for Antoine Hopino. And looking out, Brian Ownby all alone, but Dylan Castanera, that could prove to be a massive save.
He would do it twice in the span of a matter of minutes with that added extra time. And they'd find a way down the stretch here. Kana Kamana, 6 goals in the past 3 games. Got to get him more involved. Quick ball down to the chin. Watch him around the corner here. Lovely little speed used, even around the linesman. Apologize for that. Near post, can't make it happen. And that's okay. That's the look that he can give you. Said sometimes it's going to be isolated one-on-one situations. You're just going to have to execute on the road. Great job for Lou City. Only the 3rd time this season that they're able to put 2 goals in the back of the net in the first half. Very impressive by John Hackworth's squad. But now can you continue that movement going forward? Stephen Glass, as we mentioned before, it's kind of beating a dead drum, but you got to find a way to provide some relief up top, have not been able to do so.
Today's stats and facts are delivered by Liquor Barn, now delivering. Download the Liquor Barn app or order online today at liquorbarn.com. And there is a look at the numbers and how they shook out after the first 45 minutes. And Devin, I ask you this, what might be the message from Stephen Glass as his team takes the field in the second half?
Maintain your composure first and foremost. And they're rattled. Down 2-0, a lot of opportunities. But we did talk about how much talent this team has. And you just have to find a way to, with guys that are this young, maintain that confidence. Can you do so? Can you find guys like Jackson Conway, who hasn't really had a lot of opportunities up top? When push comes to shove and the ball's put in front of you, can you then put it in the back of the net? Kind of come on the same answer. He showed you that at the end of the first half, that although they didn't have a lot of offensive movements, when you put the ball out in front of him, he'll make you pay for it.
And for Louisville City, business as usual.
I call it the pressure cooker. I want to continue going forward and apply as much pressure as possible. Something that you have to consider coming down the stretch here. When you look at the top 10 right now in the Eastern Conference in terms of the playoff race, Birmingham Legion, -15. Charleston Battery, -3. Lou City, +4. Those are the only 3 in the top 10 that are not in double digits in goal differential. Start pumping the back of the net with goals, because if you want a home playoff spot, I promise you, when you get down to 1 or 2 games, it will come down to goal differential.
Well, Matthew Thompson gets us officially underway in the second half. Rasmussen immediately finding some space at the edge of the area. Openo. Now it's Speedy Williams. Pat McMahon into the channel for Brian Ownby.
It's a Lou City corner kick presented by Corner Bar and Restaurant.
Corner sent in. Here's Pat McMahon again. He almost had a second. Oh, he's feeling himself today. And the foul called against Pat McMahon, and Matthew Thompson, his first true involvement in the second half. And this portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Lunazul Tequila, official tequila of Lou City.
Great opportunity here for Atlanta United too. Just at the start of the second half, they don't have a massive amount of height on them. You can see Lou City setting up their defensive shape. Just knock one in, kind of what you saw on Lou City's first goal, put it in and let someone go get it. Just a little redirect, give yourself an opportunity to put something on frame.
Brian Ownby, a big touch into space. 2v2 for Louisville City if they hurry, but a really heavy touch from Ownby and an even heavier challenge as Brian Ownby writhing around in pain. Ownby needs immediate medical attention. Meanwhile, Atlanta United too are going to be holding their breath as to what the disciplinary action is going to be for Matthew Thompson, because Wesley Dacos led with a shoulder and an elbow. We'll see what color it is from Matt Thompson. It looked for a moment as if he was going to reach for the back pocket.
Remember here, Brian Ownby has a serious history of concussion issues. There's a trailing arm as well, and the arm is what gets him in trouble here. The shoulder charge is right inside of the right shoulder of Brian Ownby. Referee's not going to mind that. It's the waving on the left arm afterwards, and in real time, he's seeing that in one fluid motion. You have to wonder the decision making here. Credit to him, he's taking his time and he's going over with the player what it's going to be.
Well, the Louisville fans are getting restless because they're not seeing any indication that Dacos is going to get a card. And it looks like it's just going to be a talking to. Or, pardon, it's going to be mustard. And the fans are upset, but I think that this is really, really well done from our referee.
You and I were on the New York Red Bull 2 game yesterday, and we talked about how referees sometimes don't make the best decisions in the heat of the moment. Steps away, lets everything dissolve itself a little bit. He don't have the luxury of what we do on the second look. Plenty of referee could have issued a red card in this situation. The right decision, though, is a yellow card. There's a lead with the shoulder, but that's a 50-50 shoulder charge. There's nothing wrong with that. Wesley Dacos gets himself in trouble with the overextended left arm coming back across Brian Ownby. He's still making his way to his feet, but credit to the referee. Lets the situation dissolve itself a little bit, takes the air out of it, then doubles back around. We saw the same thing in the Phoenix Rising game last night.
Yellow card presented by Four Roses Bourbon. And to Dacos' credit, he did attempt to go shoulder to shoulder. He didn't expect Ownby to be that quick to the ball, and Ownby sort of put his head down. It's not saying that it's Brian Ownby's fault, but if Dacos is going to lead with the shoulder in that fashion, expecting Ownby to do the same, it's going to look very violent. And as you said, I think it's more the follow-through than anything. But Matthew Thompson, I mean, you and I are pretty critical of the referees and, you know, critical of players as well, and I think that's just what the game needs in this country. But this referee has gotten it spot on. It's the right call. Louisville City fans are going to be upset, but given the fact that he doesn't have the luxury of replay, Matthew Thompson did extremely well. And Brian Ownby, you just feel for him because you mentioned his long list of run-ins with concussions, and he's just trying to shake it off. And especially when Brian Ownby gets his first goal this season, was really starting to look like Brian Ownby of old. It would be really difficult to lose him for a long stretch or even a short stretch, as Louisville are still trying to battle the injury bug that's been plaguing them for the entire 2019 campaign on this August 11th. And the athletic trainer is making the motion towards his jaw, which I guess is a better sign than if Brian Ownby was just straight up concussed, but even a jaw injury could lead to a concussion.
Scott Ritter walking alongside him, just rattled a little bit here for Brian Ownby, shaking his head to side. The conversation with the training staff and John Hackworth will continue to the sideline. We have not gotten any indication from either one that they're going to make a change. Knowing John Hackworth, he's got his boys down in the corner warming up. And you take a look at the bench, the easy switch based on where Brian Ownby is playing is Luke Spencer, and it looks like they're going to go that direction.
So will be Luke Spencer, was the hero against the Charlotte Independents in their most previous matchup. Will come on to replace Brian Ownby. And chance of Luke reign throughout Slugger Field. And the substitution brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. As that free kick is above and beyond Dylan Castaner. And here's VisionWorks what to look for as we head into the second half of play. Devin, I already know that I asked you this question, but anything further we can look for Louisville and Atlanta United 2?
Confidence builds character, and I'm specifically referencing the offensive side of the ball for Lou City. They talk about the character of this organization, how they want to keep everything internal. So if you can find a way to continue to breed some of this offensive confidence going forward, that's going to bode well for you down the stretch for Atlanta United 2. I understand replicating what goes on with Atlanta United. If you want to give yourself a chance in this match and down the stretch, you got to make a decision here. The best decision defensively for this unit is to go back-to-back for their squad. Not necessarily sure that's going to happen, because I can also support the fact that you want to make sure that you're replicating what goes on up top. So it's a fine line you have to walk. If you make that decision, I understand not going in that direction. For immediate results, you go to 4.
Speedy Williams threading the needle for Magnus Rasmussen. Pat McMahon. It's clever to find Openo. Castaner wanted an offside call, not going to get one. Up steps Dacos, and he'll stay with Lou City. I would love a statistic on when Lou City attacked the Cooper's End in the second half, what their record is, because
I've got that. Hang on one sec.
No, you don't.
No.
You've got a lot. You don't got that.
That ain't it.
Nope. It's got to be off the charts, though. I mean, rarely will you see them trying to close out a game, attacking the Cooper's end, and fail to do so.
How many historic moments have we seen like that?
Just Speedy Williams' 2 goals in the Eastern Conference Final.
Strikes from distance. He is something. One of the players that talk about the culture within this organization. Seems like his name comes to mind. And funny, we were just talking about him yesterday, that historic run in 2016 for Red Bull too.
Cameron Lancaster goal in 2017 USL Cup, Cooper's End. Was it? Can we get Nicholas Murray on the case, please?
Pretty sure that was on the other side.
Was it on the other side?
It's confusing because the camera's flipped on your right side of your
Good
television.
point.
See what I did there?
Yep.
I put my game down, flipped it, and reversed it.
Easy. Touch into space is a clever one. Dacos commits the foul, and he's got to be careful. Already on a yellow card. Niall McCabe took a shot, looked like it was of the Charlie horse variety, and whether it's ligament damage or just a bruise on the thigh, that's always just going to hurt.
This is similar to the movement we saw out of Kanakaman in the first half, and Abdou Jam. Just watch the left shoulder of his, drops it around, gets around the corner, and it's the left leg that comes up into the thigh of Niall McCabe. Right there, knee to knee. That's a stinger. It reverberates through your entire body. Not a fun one. Wesley Dacos continuing to step into the limelight here.
Jimenez, not his best delivery. Openo tried to stab it away. Here's Kanakaman coming on the other side. Trying to find Jackson Conway, and credit to Conway, because when he has gotten the ball at his feet, he's done well.
You can't find him.
No.
Poor decision making once again. He's streaking near post. There's a massive amount of space in the back post, but the run hasn't developed. That's one of those times where it's kind of, you turn it into an individual sport where you play and you go, oh, he's supposed to be there. How's that working out for you when you're down 2-0?
Don't play a ball to make a point.
Cutting off your nose to spite your face. It does no good whatsoever going forward. That's where the patience and the inexperience of a young player comes into play.
McCabe turns, has a little bit of space. Openo, great little ball through, all the way across. Oh, and Luke Spencer was just begging for that ball at his feet. Oscar Jimenez somehow comes away with it. Spencer now cushions it down, and it rolls into the hands of Dylan Castanera. We'll take another look.
How does this ball not find Luke Spencer? Niall McCabe, beautiful vision. Openo back across. Oh, Spencer was cutting out just a little bit. Openo was looking for Abdou Jam in the back post. It's behind him the entire way. Recovery by Oscar Jimenez on the backside to give them a chance, and another great step by Pat McMahon.
He has continually just rolled up on George Bello and given Atlanta United 2 all sorts of problems. Creates something out of nothing there and earns a corner right in front of the Coopers.
This is a cause for concern for George Bello, not only in the result for the match right now, but this is a guy that Frank de Boer and Atlanta United really believe in. Long-term injury, still bringing him back. He got 45 minutes last time out, and this team telling us they wanted him to go full 90. It was probably going to be the last time that he spent time with Atlanta United 2 for a while. With a performance like this, they might second-guess those sentiments.
Oscar Jimenez, left-footed corner. Back post. Jam lets it bounce. Barajas out to defend. Jam is poked away. Tosh, Rasmussen, the backside of George Campbell. McMahon. McCabe tried the clever back heel. Wasn't part of the honeymoon package. Jimenez. And Atlanta United 2 will try for the life of them to string something together. They go long again looking for Conway and earn the foul and will allow themselves to push up and out. City fans can get their team merchandise, including the August Scarf of the Month, kits, hats, flags, and more at LouisvilleCityFC.com at any home game or at our permanent location in 4th Street Live. Sports and gear to support your team. Ball driven in, not a bad one. Coach gets the head to it. George Bello turns the corner, taking the space given to him. Bello still with it, sends it into the middle. McMahon with the challenge. Openo fanned on it, gets a second bite of the apple, and allows Louisville City to at least push their line up for the time being. And a bit of sustained pressure here from Atlanta United 2 now. Seen anything drastic from Stephen Glass in this start to the second half, Dev?
There's a bit more energy. Hasn't necessarily turned into anything that positive. See that they're not willing to back out of this game, which is good news. Bad news is, as they continue to try and punch back a little bit here, and their boys are moving up, which is what they need to do. They're also not being disciplined enough on the defensive side of the ball. So those long balls over the top for Lou City are becoming a bit more frequent. You can see spaces on the backside. And Abdusham is wide open right now. Loads of room for him to work with.
Openo. Great first move. Still going. Taken away by Barajas. Pat McMahon steps up. He has been an absolute pest all afternoon. Look at Speedy Williams filling in for McMahon, who was all the way up the field. The Jamaican, clever play, settles it down for McCabe. Bit of a hospital ball coming back from Abdusham. Sean Tosh. Good football here from Louisville. Luke Spencer, good strength, fending off Dacos. Edge of the area, first time effort. And especially with the surface metamorphosizing. Is that the correct word or a word?
It's quite difficult to hit this from distance. How about the defending by Wesley Dacos? John Hackworth barking at the linesman right now. But it's really well done to just push Luke Spencer off a little bit. Little tug here, little push of the shoulder there. Stephen Glass holding his breath, I'm sure, as he's sitting on a yellow.
Positive first touch from Rasmussen on his right peg. Cuts it across. Barajas couldn't get rid of it. Deflection off the backside of Rasmussen. Sean was trying to play the bounce. Speedy Williams in for the challenge. Long ball sent the other way. Suahi has to go negative, and it's going to be brought all the way back. Niall McCabe getting into it with Jack Metcalf. It'll be a free kick for Atlanta United 2 as Matthew Thompson was trying to play the advantage.
Those two are still barking at each other. Little Irish-English warfare.
Not just Irish-English. Irish-Liverpool.
Yeah.
This portion of tonight's game brought to you by Game On Mouth Guards.
If one of the Atlanta United 2 players feels like they can hit a dead ball. Now's the time. You see George Bello walk over to it immediately. Usually someone who likes to strike a ball will go up and set it just like you're seeing out of Jose Hernandez. I understand it's a bit far out, but the way that you've executed, there's that Purple Rain on the back post, and instead they maintain possession.
Ball back into the mixer. Hubbard off of his line, and easy enough. Here's Sawahi out of the back. Now McCabe gets bumped off the ball. And it is going to be a yellow card for Jose Hernandez, 22-year-old from Caracas, Venezuela. A yellow card presented to you by Four Roses Bourbon.
The referee has issued a Four Roses yellow card to Atlanta. Number 15, Jose Hernandez.
Lou City fans, this season, First Financial Bank will support the Lou City community by donating $500 to the Boys and Girls Club of Kentuckiana each time Louisville City scores the first goal. That goal scored by Brian Ownby earlier in the first half was tonight's first goal. Thank you to First Financial Bank for their support of Louisville City and our community. Looks like a triple substitution ready to come on for Stephen Glass. And it looks like it's going to be Guillermo Benitez, Luis Fernando, and Lauren Kissidu coming on. Sean Tosh muscles it the other way. Louisville City in full control. Atlanta United 2 have shown some instances of bark, but no bite just yet. And is up for the header. Will Vince header straight to Speedy Williams, and Louisville City will recycle. Ever-changing movement in the middle of the field continues to give Atlanta United 2 all sorts of problems. They have not been able to readjust on the fly, and as a result, the middle of the park has belonged to Louisville City. Antoine Opino now on the right wing. Cuts to the byline and straight to Castanera. Devin, I don't know if there's anybody better than Louisville City in the USL Championship than protecting a lead and game management.
They don't give up a lot of goals once they are out in front. So that their recent woes have been in terms of just been able to find the goals. They've now been able to do it 2 games running. Once they get out, they stay out. Talked about this season scoring first 7-1-1 in the 2019 campaign. But it does give you an idea with the amount of games that they played, the fact that they've only scored first 9 times. More importantly, the fact that they did it in the first half. It's going to be a better shout for John Hackworth going forward, as we talked about their record coming in the months of August, September, and October in the regular season. 24-4-12 down the stretch. Team that just seems to hit that playoff stride, full speed running.
Jimenez, short, Rasmussen out. Has it on his left peg, he goes for goal. And it's the dreaded shot that goes out for a throw-in. And in the words of Devin Kerr, I'll get it. And here comes that triple substitution and line change for Stephen Glass. And it'll be George Bello coming off. Probably could have seen that one coming, given the fact they're still trying to get him back to match fitness. So it'll be Benitez coming out and replacing George Bello. Barajas is going to come off.
Also, number 11, and for number 37, George Campbell.
Luis Fernando replacing Barajas, and Laurent Kissadou will be the third and final substitution. And it's George Campbell who comes off, and he looks very dejected. Frustrating evening for Atlanta United 2, to say the least. But when you go into the home of the back-to-back champions, you can always expect it to be an uphill battle from the opening whistle. But Devin, I mean, I feel like today specifically, it's been a lot of self-inflicted wounds for Stephen Glass's side. As Niall McCabe finding Luke Spencer on the move. Rasmussen trying to pull it back on his left foot. Falls for Pat McMahon, already with 1 goal today. Rasmussen still with it. McCabe gets it away for Opino, but the offside flag is up. Late challenge coming in from Lawrence Wyke as well. Obviously, all 3 substitutions exhausted for Stephen Glass. John Hackworth still has 1 at his disposal, 2 at his disposal after using 1. Luke Spencer coming on for the injured Brian Ombie. And easy enough for Chris Hubbard. And what a confidence booster this would be for Louisville City if they're able to get back-to-back wins, back-to-back clean sheets.
Notice they've shifted finally. Gone to 4. Guillermo Benitez on the left back position. Decas, Wyke in the middle. And Jack Metcalf will just tuck himself a bit deeper on that right side. That's the better look for Atlanta United 2 going forward.
And here they come going forward again. Delivery into the penalty area. And the opening goal from Atlanta United 2. The lead is cut in half for the back-to-back champions. It's Jackson Conway on the doorstep. One of the easier goals that he'll score in his career. And it's 2-1.
Just like that, you rotate 4 at the back, opens up space in the middle a little bit. Ball quick across from Kissadou, and Luis Fernando just allows this to come out in front of him. Jack Metcalf on the trailing run, all the way back around. The outside back's getting really high now. Well done by the captain, sprayed across the 6. Jackson Conway said that if you could get it out in front, running with pace, he would make you pay. Sure enough, number 4 in a white jersey.
And how many times have we seen that with Atlanta United as well, whether it be Julian Gressel coming around the bend, maybe a ball coming in from Darlington Nagbe and Joseph Martinez and the like, just sitting on the doorstep. I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to preach throughout this entire organization, and it just comes out in spades on that particular play.
We talked about it earlier how, look, if they wanted to have success in this game, they needed to go.
Oh, here they come again, and it's Conway, and it's off the crossbar. Oh, goodness, that would have been 2 in rapid succession, not only for Atlanta United 2, but for Jackson Conway.
The entire time you and I were talking, I'm like, okay, here comes the challenge, here comes the challenge. No, foot race over, this will be a clearance. Tell me why Tosh is not sticking his foot out, clearing this ball off the line. He's out in front of it, he lets it come. You wonder if there's a shout from behind by Chris Hubbard, couldn't pick any of it up. Regardless, another opportunity for Atlanta United 2. And going back to what we were talking about, I said the immediate results would come if you go into a 4-back system. Staying in the 3 mimics what goes on with Atlanta United. You also walk that fine line of getting away from what the organization is trying to do, but also the confidence of these young men. If they continue to get put down and beat down, they get away from the artistry that you just saw in the final third, where they get into the one-on-one situations and they're willing to run at some of the best in the USL Championship.
So Louisville City able to relieve some of the pressure and stop the bleeding, at least for the immediate. And Free kick coming up. Niall McCabe standing on top of it.
Think he's going to hit this? This is
I don't think it's a long enough run up.
This is a heck of an approach, a la Roberto Carlos way back in the day. Don't be surprised. Watch a little trickery now, maybe.
McCabe goes for goal, and it's an excellent free kick. A long run up produces a long range effort from Niall McCabe. Not the first time that he's done that. Louisville City have their breathing room back. They restore a 2-goal lead, and the back-to-back champions are on their way to back-to-back wins.
Why not? Little post-wedding present. Said the distance in the run-up might be an issue. Possibly a bit of trickery from the training ground. And my apologies now, McCabe. Tricks are for kids. Louisville City back out in front by 2.
And that goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. And Niall McCabe has hit the jackpot a couple of times over the past few weeks, getting married to his lovely wife, Ashley. And now a free kick from upwards of 30 yards out. And just like that, Louisville City back in full control. But it easily could have been 2-2. And it could have been 2 goals for Jackson Conway. Amazing how quickly things can shift.
Totally different talking point. 72nd minute, Jackson Conway gets them within 1. Beautiful bowling by Jack Metcalf. Less than 60 seconds later, felt like history was repeating itself. Chris Hubbard has the woodwork to thank for that one. Best friend at play once again, and then Niall McCabe, the challenge off of Luke Spencer. Right around 25 yards out. Look at the way he hits this. This is so difficult to do. Almost comes straight on the ball. Still gets enough pace behind it with the correct amount of swerve. Up, over, dipping as well. Dylan Castanera can do nothing but watch. Sometimes the utter brilliance from what the opposing team throws at you is just too much. Exactly what happens from Niall McCabe. He knew it the entire way. Beautifully hit set piece from distance. And there's that confidence we talked about just breeding itself within this front 4, 5, and 6 for Lou City. Abdou Jam on the assist on the first goal. Brian Ownby, prior to being sent off for his injury. They make the appropriate changes. Pat McMahon gets involved. Lexi Suahi on the distribution on that one little flick off. And then Niall McCabe coming back from his short, but obviously more than warranted absence.
And it'll be George Davis IV coming on and replacing Antoine Opino. Substitution brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Not the best body of work for Antoine Opino today, but does just enough to help Louisville City FC restore their 3-1 lead and connects at the field knowing that his side more than likely to get 3 points now.
City substitution. Entering the game, number 22, George Davis IV.
Fans head to Twitter to vote on tonight's Dr. Mark and Linden Associates VisionWorks Man of the Match. Poll will be open for the next 15 minutes. Vote now at twitter.com/Lou City. And this portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Wow, McCabe has to throw his left boot back on after it got taken off. A little flat tire. A little more than 12 minutes remaining plus stoppage time after the hydration break. Louisville City FC with a 3-1 lead. Goals from Niall McCabe, Pat McMahon, and Brian Obi in reverse order.
The outfield video board is now displaying last week's fly level nonstop player of the game.
Are they out of the woods with this win?
To see this week's nonstop player of the
No.
game. Follow Fly Louisville.
2 matches removed from a streak that was atrocious. 7 games in a row, you concede first. Only once do you come back and get a victory? Absolutely not. not with the injuries that they have. You now have a question mark in the likes of Brian Ownby. Your captain, Paolo Del Piccolo, still on the sideline. Your goalkeeper, Ben Loontz, still coming back from surgery. Now, they're saying that he's a couple weeks out and that he's going to come back, but still, you have too many question marks within this team. John Hackworth will tell you the same way, that it's great that you went out and got the 2 goals, but once again, you let your guard down. And you let your guard down to a team that, to be honest, had no reason whatsoever should have been anywhere in that area. Your defensive shape was good. If you want to make another title run, you can't switch off like that. You cannot allow successive opportunities, and you said it best, this should have been a 2-2 game. The fact that we're at 3-1, they're lucky, to be honest. Still great by Niall McCabe, but this could have easily been 2-2, running up and down, and a wide open match right now.
Spencer, oh, good ball to find McCabe, slides it through, looking for George Davis. And sealing it off at the last moment is Lawrence White.
Fans, today's official attendance presented by Hometown Pizza is 9,292. Thank you to all of our hometown supporters for their
Fans
support.
reminded that Lou City will be back at Slugger Field on Saturday, August 24th at 3 p.m. against North Carolina FC. For tickets, please visit loucity.com or call 502-LOU-CITY. Hubbard off of his line. Nothing that Chris Hubbard could have done about the lone goal from Atlanta United 2. Lou City would have loved to have another clean sheet under their belt, but they're going to have to settle for the potential 3-1 win unless Atlanta United 2 can muster up a little bit more magic to make this game interesting. This little move from George Davis the fourth, cuts it back for Pat McMahon. Reads the play nicely. Niall McCabe. And the fans are calling for Wesley Dacos's metaphorical head, considering that he already has a yellow card to his name. They wanted him to get thrown out for his transgressions involving Brian Ownby. And Matthew Thompson is basically saying, I already warned you once, you might be lucky to still be on the field, but I promise you the next one, you are going to be gone and miss the next one for your side.
Legitimately just motioned to him and said, that's it, I've had enough. Maybe that conversation a bit earlier with Wesley Dacos was, listen, I read your bio, I get it. Today's your 20th birthday, settle down. Happy birthday to that young man, but still got some work left to do here. Team 2 goals away. Said stay within striking distance, they've done that.
Jimenez, loose in the box, poked up by Luke Spencer. Big man does it again.
Striking distance no more. This is game, set, match. Sometimes awake in a prayer. Jimenez so good when he flicks these balls in. Spinning away from the back line the entire time. An overload of runs on the back post. Miscommunication on the back line. Luke Spencer, lucky number 7 on the season. Comes in the 83rd minute for Lou City. Stephen Glass not happy with his team executing down the stretch here. How can you argue with it? There was that 10-minute spell where it felt like they really had a fighting chance getting back into things. And unfortunately, they've let an opportunity slip away. The reigning champs are back out in front and comfortably.
And that goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery.
75th minute goal by Niall McKay. Next Level Nutrition reminds you to fuel your passion.
One back by Lou City. They're looking for more. Spencer touches it along for George Davis IV. Around to the byline, cuts it back. Rasmussen. It's a Mambo number 5 for Lou City. Running away with it. And that goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery.
Confidence builds character. They have now eclipsed the mark they set back on June 1st when they took Charleston Battery heavily to the mat in a 4-1 victory. They've now pumped 5 in the back of the net against Atlanta United 2. You see the frustration by Kisadu. Ball back across. This is the last place that anybody should be standing wide open if you're in a purple shirt. Defensive unit gets it wrong once again. Magnus Rasmussen continues to be the topic of conversation in the resurgence in form that you saw back in 2015.
Abdou Sham gets ripped down by Jack Metcalf, and it looks like that'll be mustard for the captain. And then he pushes Niall McCabe, who has a little bit of fun with it.
That Louisville City goal presented by Kentucky Lottery was scored by number 7, Magnus Rasmussen.
Season tickets for Lou City's 2020 inaugural season in the new Lynn Family Stadium are on sale now. For details about getting season tickets, visit loucity.com or call 502-LOU-CITY. And that yellow card issued to Jack Metcalf, presented by Four Roses Bourbon. And Rasmussen will exit to the tune of the 5th goal of the evening for Louisville City and be replaced by Sonny Johnny.
His 8th on the year is exactly what he was able to do in that 2015 season. Just a couple assists behind to mimic the exact same form. Sonny Johnny, given the opportunity a few games back in the starting position, unfortunately just didn't really produce that much. Been much more of a super sub role in this season. He's played it well, and just an opportunity to stretch his legs a little bit. 5+ to go with added time.
The Louisville City substitution in the match, number 12, Sonny Johnny.
And Pat McMahon goes bulldozing in to Jackson Conway, and both of them grabbing onto their back. It looks like Conway caught the brunt of it as McMahon pops back up.
Fans today's Dr. Mark Leonard Associates Vision Works Man of the Match.
It's a rough challenge coming back across the hip area of Jackson Conway. You can see him just kind of pointing to the backside of him. Not being intended to yet, as now the training staff is being motioned on. Will Vint coming over to check on his fallen comrade. And that's just Jack Metcalf, their captain, having a conversation with the referee, wondering if you're going to give a card out for the one on the other side earlier, why not here? Smartly, Pat McMahon just kind of got up and ran away from the situation. That young man, credit to him, as confidence, not a lot for him to gather. There's a good look at Danny Cruz, still going on, even though they're up by 4, wants to make sure they secure this for the time being.
Jackson Conway, who has the lone goal for Atlanta United 2 in this affair, could have easily had a second, probably in the span of about 60 seconds, but rocked the crossbar from point-blank distance.
Oscar Jimenez in the foreground there, just stretching things out. Feeling some cramping coming in.
And tonight's Dr. Mark and Lynn Associates VisionWorks man of the match is that man, Pat McMahon. First goal in a Lou City uniform, and Devin, he was integral in just making life so incredibly difficult for this young Atlanta United side. Metcalf. Laurent Kissadou.
You think about it, whether it was George Bello in the first half, or Benitez has obviously come on and tried to get forward. Laurent Kissadou as well. Really haven't been able to find any movement whatsoever on the right side of Louisville City. And that's where Pat McMahon has come in. Only his second start of the year. 5th appearance overall, and a guy that just looking to get back to winning ways and see if he can break into this starting 11. Multiple USL championships under his belt. 2015 with the Rochester Rhinos and Bob Lilly. And of course, joining forces with Lou City and the Coopers and this amazing organization that seems to be so relevant every single year within this league. The second one last year. I'd love to get lucky number 3 and add another ring to his hand.
Ball over the top and runs out of play, and stoppage time is presented by Sullivan University, and the 4th official just indicating 4 minutes as they're about halfway through the first. And it's going to be another 3 points for Louisville City, as we mentioned before. Not going to be able to leapfrog anybody as far as the Eastern Conference standings are concerned, but inching closer and closer to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And it should be said that there's a big difference between 7th and 6th now. It's the difference in playing a 2-game week in the opening round of the USL Cup postseason. USL Championship final postseason, excuse me, corrected by my producer, Sharni Yerke. Still need to get used to it. Wednesday night soccer, USL Championship final, a lot of rebranding, but all for the best of reasons.
1 + 1 is 2. We'll get you there, don't worry.
I knew that when I was like 6 or 7.
Easy,
yeah.
Easy. I've seen your arithmetic.
Easy.
You asked me earlier if I felt like Lou City was out of it. I said no. For me, it's the upcoming schedule. Navigating those waters. Now you've got a little confidence under your belt, but what can you do with it? What can you do with it, mind you, while at home? So you've taken down ATL UTD2. Now you go on the road against the Charleston Battery. Even though struggling, going on the road in this league is not easy, yet alone against Mike Anhauser's boys. The next 4 out of 5 are what really get to me. Home North Carolina, home Indy, at Highmark to take on Bob Lilly and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Skip a game hard for the Athletic, with all due respect to Jimmy Nielsen. Then you come back home again, Red Bull 2. That is a ridiculous slate of games.
Eastern Conference final rematch / preview.
You're sticking with?
Yeah,
You're going with it, huh?
I'm just playing the odds. I'm playing the odds.
Why not? John Wolinak's listening right now going, that's right, boys.
Yeah,
that's right.
Except this time it's going to be at Montclair State.
Yeah. Rubbing his hands back and forth.
How about New York Red Bulls, too? Putting together quite the regular season. Devin, you and I took a look at it compared to their USL Cup, what was then called the USL Cup run in 2016, and it was just eerily similar at this point in the season, almost down to the goal differential and the amount of points. But that team was just littered with all sorts of talent that features in Europe, U.S. men's national team, Phoenix Rising, Sacramento.
The difference for Red Bull 2, and this is real, the real questions are going to be answered coming down the stretch for them. They play 9 of 12 on the road for a team that historically, outside of that 2016 season, has not been very good at all, and that's putting it politely.
And what was the statistic you told me? That it was, they won more road games in 2016 than they have in the last 3 years combined.
Correct.
That's silly.
Oh yeah, I mean that's saying something
That's
about
Las Vegas status.
How poor it's been, exactly.
Yeah. No offense to Eric Winalda, but it's just the numbers. McMahon gives it away as we are knocking on the door of full time. Never really been in doubt after the outstanding free kick for Niall McCabe, which you can bet your bottom dollar will be a contender for USL Championship goal of the week in week number 23. Matthew Thompson blows for full time, and Louisville City FC rattle off back-to-back wins. 5 goals to the boys in purple and to the back-to-back champions as they dispatch Atlanta United 2 in what looked like was going to be a close affair for just the shortest of moments. But then it was Niall McCabe from distance to make it 3. Rasmussen and Luke Spencer make it 4 and 5. And Louisville City FC still in 7th place, but gaining ground on some of the best in the Eastern Conference after an inconsistent summer, to say the least. Pat McMahon, your man of the match. Devin Kerr, what are your thoughts on the 90 minutes?
I like the back-to-back graphic right there. Back-to-back wins for the first time since earlier this summer. It's because they got back to basics. Real simple. They put the ball on the deck, let it do the work, move it side to side, play quick in transition, got some good defensive shape. Didn't like that 5 to 10 minute spell in the second half. Otherwise, John Hackworth's going to be very happy with his boys. And again, that confidence going forward, a tremendous mountain they're going to have to climb in the next few weeks.
Well, that's going to do it full time here at Slugger Field. Frustrating for Stephen Glass. Elation for Louisville City. We'll be back in a moment to put a bow on it.
At Dr. Mark Lennon Associates, I focus on taking care of my family, but I also focus on taking care of your family. We firmly believe that you've got to give back. Our primary goal is to do what's right for the patient. If that means glasses, contacts, or treating an eye condition, we will be sure you get the care that you need. We want to take care of you the same way we take care of all our family. This is our family. And here at Dr. Mark Lennon Associates, we're focused on your family, the community, and most importantly, your vision.
The standard joke is the helicopter pilot gets nosebleed above 1,000 feet. Presently, we have 9 helicopters that we own. Probably the busiest time of the year, we're probably up to about a dozen aircraft. We're a very diverse company. We do construction, lifting.
Obviously, you guys do things like crop spraying. When you're flying this helicopter at 6 feet above the corn, things like wind could be a big problem.
The wind can obviously drift you right into the obstacles that can lead to disastrous results.
Jim, we know that it has been an unbelievably wet 12 months.
Planting soybeans with a helicopter, never really heard of. On the ground, it's too wet, so it's either plant by helicopter or have nothing growing.
What does an accurate forecast mean to you?
In many cases, it saves a job. It affects everything we do, Mark.
2-time champions.
Louisville City is our city.
The time is come for the takedown.
Louisville is the city of champions.
The time is come.
Louisville City FC takes down Charleston Battery next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on WPKI. Sponsored by Family Allergy and Asthma, Cosair Charities, and Liquor Board. WPKI, the official TV partner of Louisville City FC.
2 games, 6 points for Louisville City FC after a stretch of 3 games without a win. Luke Spencer, Philip Rasmussen getting on the score sheet, and this is a Louisville City side that's trying to rattle off wins at the end of the season like they have every single year that they've been in existence, including the 2017 and 18 championship teams. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr, thank you so much for having joined us throughout this occasion and what was a joyous one to say the least. And look at these moves from one of our terrific hammer operators at Slugger Field. That is your Toyota move of the game. Devin, thoughts, concerns, questions? Just a shake of the head from Devin. Doesn't even want to address the topic at hand. Let's address the highlights, though. 5 goals for Louisville City FC, 1 goal for Atlanta United 2. Spoiler alert, with that score line, it's actually Louisville who comes away with the 3 points. And we'll take a look at how it all went down. Sean Tosh, beautiful ball, picks up his head, finds Abdou Jam unselfish, puts it in a dangerous area. Brian Obi uses that big, beautiful bald head of his and gets his first goal of the season.
They set the tone right off, and unfortunately, it just wasn't exactly what they wanted to replicate on a regular basis. They got out in front by 2. The problem is that they started to slack off a little bit, and you saw some movement coming out of the second half, but the stage was always set. It was about what could they do in the final 3 months, and we talked about August, September, October, how great they'd been. If you're just joining us, 24, 4, and 12 in that time frame in the past 3 seasons, and they just seem to turn it on when time matters. They turned off, though. 5, 6, 7-minute stretch here. Jack Metcalf said that he has such a big presence up top. You and I talked about it, how it wasn't his fault. They just couldn't find his feet. When they did, he was clinical. Second one came off the bar. This one, Niall McCabe made him pay from distance. Really thought he might be a bit more tricky in his actions. But as I said earlier, he wasn't playful enough. He goes directly at Dylan Castanera and puts him out in front again.
Celebration in front of the Coopers as well, but Louisville City FC would not even be close to done. Luke Spencer taps home yet another goal. Goals in back-to-back games for the man who scored the game winner in what was then the USL Cup in 2018. The goal that gave them their back-to-back champion title against Phoenix Rising FC. More problems for Atlanta United too. Turnovers in the middle of the field can be oh so costly, especially against a veteran side like Lou City. George Davis IV gets around the byline. And then Philip Rasmussen, not going to get much easier than that for him.
Let's be very clear here. Lou City played well, and they definitely executed when they needed to. However, and we talked about it again, but you have to bring it back up. Atlanta United, too, make a lot of sloppy mistakes in the middle of the field on the defensive side as well, where they were just basically coughing the ball up to Lou City and unnecessarily 30, 35, 40 yards from goal. When you compress the field that much, the opposition is going to make you pay. That's what happens. Take a look at the efficiency here. 21 shots, 11 of target, right around 50%, but 5 of them end up at the back of the net. This is a team in Lou City who has really struggled on the offensive end to hit the back of the net. Their conversion rate towards the bottom of the USL Championship, but in the past few weeks, they're trying to find a way to breed that confidence. They've been able to do so. John Hackworth has a really good recipe for success for his boys going forward. Now it all comes down to being healthy and being able to execute.
Well, dancing time again for Louisville City FC. Back-to-back wins. Whether you think the dance moves are questionable or not, it's always time to dance when you win. Meanwhile, for Atlanta United, too, back to the drawing board. For Lou City FC, they'll take their talents on the road to South Carolina to take on Mike Anhauser and the Charleston Battery. For our entire crew, my broadcast partner, Devin Kerr, Tyler Terrence, saying so long for now. This one, all Lou City, 5-1 is your final score.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.
Toyota's national clearance event is on. It's time to save on the last of the 2019s. Congratulations. Congrats.
Get the all-new, greater-than-ever Corolla with $1,000 cash back, or a low-mileage lease for just $169 a month with Toyota Care 2-year no-cost maintenance plan standard.
How long should we do this?
Well, the event doesn't end until September 3rd.
Toyota, let's go places.
For some, it's skydiving. For others, it's a really close game. But what gets our blood pumping? At Baptist Health, it's pioneering new treatments for heart disease, equipping our expert team with the latest technology, and developing techniques that improve heart attack survival rates. At Baptist Health, we push ourselves to provide exceptional heart care for one reason, so you can keep enjoying the things that get your blood pumping.